This being a highly requested street legend to cover, I felt like I had to take my time. What's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. Welcome to or back to my channel. It's your girl Boctavia. If you don't know who I am, I'm from Washington, D.C., and I'm 23 years old. It's some people that get a little aggravated when I keep saying how old I am, but it is important. It is important because honestly, I want to show that you can talk about things that happened before your time and not just things. You know what I'm saying? You can talk about street things. It don't matter if you a male or a female. We not being biased. Point, period, blank, all that shit. So we will be talking about Is the Christ. Is the Christ is a former hustler from the era of the late 80s and the early 90s. His connection and being in close proximity to the major figures including Rayful, Wayne. He was familiar with Alpo, his best friend Andre Tank Johnson, and also Big Head Gary. I have spoke on Andre and I spoke on his unfortunate murder, and I gave my thoughts on that. The link to that video will be in the description. Now, him being in close proximity to everybody that I spoke on, and him actually seeing situations go down and having a different point of view than Alpo makes him a major figure in the DC scene. Is the Christ interview was, I believe, the third person that I seen speaking on the situations from the past. First, it was Alpo. It was hearing his jail interviews and things like that. Next, it was AZ Faison, which I will be talking about in future videos. And next, it was Is the Christ. Now, I feel like if you want to know more about the real story and you want to be well versed and have your own opinion, what you should do is listen to different point of views and different people that can really give you that. I feel like beyond Is the Christ being from DC, don't get me wrong, him being from DC is an ultimate plus, but hearing his interview, it was one that I could wholeheartedly understand. You know, it was very honest and in some forms funny, you know, and I feel like that's just the DC way. It's all in how people from DC talk and put things together, and everything's very clear. If you want to know more and you just stop at Alpo's interviews, your opinion will be very biased, because that's the thing about Alpo versus Is the Christ. You know, I feel like Alpo was saying a lot of things to sway it in his favor. And it's like, if it didn't happen like that, then it didn't happen like that. And you leaving stuff out, you know, you leaving important factors out that you don't want to get out. You know what I'm saying? That you don't want to be exposed. A lot of it is biased towards him trying to protect his credibility, him trying to protect the past, you know, him trying to protect his street reputation, you know. And as far as Is the Christ go, you know, it was just complete honesty. And I'm not just saying that, like, it was complete honesty to the point where I didn't have to question anything. Versus, that's why I started doing these videos, because I raised quite a few eyebrows when I was listening to Alpo explain. And it's like, you know, I really shouldn't have to. You know, if that's the truth, then, you know, let it be the truth. It's nothing that I had to question as far as Is the Christ went. His interview with Gully TV, it just opened my eyes into the mind state that Gary was in, you know. That goes along with him losing his brother a couple years before this happened, you know. I feel like it made him different in a way where he was very abrasive, very aggressive, and felt like he had to be that way. And in any situation, he didn't want to be played with. And instead of, you know, I'm not saying hurt the female. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying, like, instead of taking up the situation at hand with his girl, he felt like he had to keep going back and checking Andre about something that Andre didn't have loyalty to Gary in any type of way. Like I said in previous videos, they wasn't making money together, you know. They wasn't doing deals together or whatever the case was. So Gary should have off the top knew that, you know, you should take that up with your woman. That's the closest person to you that can stop this. You know what I'm saying? But neither here nor there. In this interview, he spoke honestly about Alpo and how much of a fan that he turned into or wanted to be of Tank and Ears. You know what I'm saying? Seeing their influence and them being so loved and feared, you know what I'm saying, to a point where nobody would really try them. Alpo wanted to be around that type of thing, you know, and it made sense because of him having protection from Shorty in the past. Alpo wanted so desperately to be safe in DC, and of course everybody should want to be safe, but you coming off as a fan, you know what I'm saying? And the way that Ears said that he was more open to it, but Andre had to check him, like, you know, you don't keep no nigga around that's your connect and y'all hanging together and doing everything together so that everybody see. And that was Alpo's main mission, you know what I'm saying? He wanted to be affiliated with somebody that can give him something towards his image, to give him some type of validation, you know, self-validation that he is who he say he is, and also, you know, some validation in the streets that his name hold weight and everything like this. It's all about his reputation and how things can look better for him and how he can make things look so that he can get certain things or whatever the case is. So that made sense. He spoke about situations that happened with Rayful, you know, and that's how you know that he's not biased. You know, he called both of them rats, you know. He called both of Rayful and Alpo rats. So that to me told me, like, you know, he's not biased at all. They both did the same thing. He spoke on Rayful, and me watching the interview that he did with Gully, I watched it maybe a couple days ago, and I took notes again. It shedded more light of me really understanding who Rayful is based on the situations that he was into prior to him being arrested. From Is the Christ interview, I got a lot of information that if his side wasn't told, that information literally would not be out there. The bottom line to this is the Christ's ability to be honest and shed light on things that I had questions about. I respect that wholeheartedly. I feel like a lot of people from the era of the 80s and 90s, even farther back, you know, it's some things that they really do want to be hidden, or it's some things that they want to keep in the past and not even speak on. and it needs to be spoken on. Not only did I value his opinion about things that I wanted to know, I value anybody who made it through a treacherous time, especially in DC or in a place like DC, whether that be Detroit, Chicago, Philly, Baltimore, you know what I'm saying? Like really rough areas where we have a lot of things in common, you know, like gun violence, gang violence, you know, family violence, violence in general. But it's things that we all have in common. But I also value the fact that he stayed alive. You know, it's not easy. And I think that that's what a lot of people think when they just see a person and they older, like, oh, that must have been easy. It's never easy, you know. And yes, throughout some experiences, you learn that you put yourself in those predicaments, but you learn how to move and maneuver, learning from those experiences. And that's really the message that I want to send, and that I always try to send out. Like, this life is not easy by any means. And especially when we come from these urban communities, life is even tougher because certain obstacles get thrown in our way and it's a mountain of shit. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it can feel like it's no end to it. But I like to listen to people like Is the Christ for guidance through life. You know, nobody is exempt from being taken off this earth or from being thrown in jail or whatever the case is. You know, nobody is exempt from that. And what we can't ignore about that time is a lot of us from this time probably wouldn't have survived back then. And that's due to a lot of different things, you know. So I salute Is the Christ. I appreciate and respect his opinion. If any of y'all want to know more about those times, and it's not really about Paid in Full or Alpo. If you really want to grasp an understanding about those times, whether you wasn't in the streets back then or you just didn't know, or you like me, you know, younger, and you wasn't around during them times. If you want to grasp a full understanding of how DC was back in the day, one major person that you're going to have to tune into is the Christ, okay? I will link his channel down below. Leave your thoughts on this video and on Is the Christ in the comments below. And until next time, it's your girl, Boctavia, and I will see y'all in my next video.